What's up, YouTube? Lex here with a little tour of a under-known gem here called Loop Hero that I would say classifies as a deck building card game, but I promise you it's quite different from most you've played. This is a game that I would never have even known about, except I ended up getting it free on the Epic Store with the free weekly game, which is a really cool deal and just a smart business move. Keeps people coming back to the store. And I just like to try things I get for free if they look remotely interesting, and this one really paid off. So we're just going to start a new file, and we'll even let the tutorial stick, and I'll show you what the game's all about, because honestly it's really cool and quite addicting. So I do definitely recommend it. It doesn't cost much. To move my window so I can see the text just a bit. The story is not really important. It's all just an interesting justification for why the world keeps destroying itself, which is not a spoiler, as you will soon see. There we go. So here's the core of the game. We went with yellow for our soldier's color. And you can just right click to pause and unpause the game. It's a little like FTL in that regard. You have complete ability to pause as long as you want at any time. This is not a Twitch game. Up here is the progress of the day, and also the progress of the next upgrade for the monsters. So this is the day. This is the progress of the monster upgrades. Once this fills up, you get a boss. This allows you to speed up the game drastically, so you can customize to your heart's desire how quickly this all goes. At the moment, I think we're at ×4 movement and ×2.5 combat, and we're paused, so we show is in the planning, and we're in loop 1. Every time we go around, the loop number increases, and the enemies get stronger. This is our equipment setup, but we don't have any slots yet, so... So combat is automatic, just like movement. And that, trust me, that's more interesting than it sounds. So when you defeat an enemy, you will often get a card. And here it's just telling us how to use equipment. We equipped our sword. Here's the card. We'll put it where it tells us to. Essentially, you are building a map, a loop around here. And the cards allow you to place different pieces of terrain both on the road and to the side of the road. Now, in the case of this grove, this spawns every 2 days, spawns a wolf, and they also can move to adjacent tiles, so this can fill up tiles next to it as well. Now, why would you want to spawn enemies? Well, the whole point of this game is you need to fight enough enemies each loop to get strong enough to continue clearing enemies. If you choose to fight no enemies, you will not be able to advance the boss meter, and by the time you do, the enemies will be way too strong for you. And if you put down too many, then you will die before making it back to town, which heals you for 20 hit points upon entering, and is your main source of, sustain until you get equipment and skills that give that for you. So, see, the forest spawned a wolf. We'll fight the wolf, and we've got 2 tiles and another item. So, we've also gained experience. This is our experience bar. We haven't leveled up yet. Now, it's probably gonna... It's not forcing us to make a forest anywhere. So, a forest gives +1 hero attack speed. So you just drop this on the map somewhere. Now, a rock gives 3 hero hit points and 3 more for every adjacent rock. So So you put it somewhere here in the middle where you can have a lot of rocks. And our new weapon is the same damage, but gives 2 defense that our previous one didn't. You can see that the blue color indicates its tier, and it's tier 2, so it has 1 skill. It simply replaces the old one. We don't get to unequip it. So when you hit here, 20% of your health is healed. And during the game, the idea is you want to get to the loop before it's too strong for your hero. You will, almost always die. Every stage is like an endless stage, and to win, you only have to get to a certain point. And to get further, you will, get more rewards and resources, but if you die, you lose probably, I think everything at first that you get. It's forcing us, since it's the tutorial, to just return now on the first loop. So, um, we're looking at that. I wonder if it'll let us stay. No, see, for the tutorial, it's forcing us to retreat. Normally we would stay until we barely survive a loop and then retreat, is the idea, but it can be very tricky. You will often be punished for trying to stay for one more loop. The camp is cool. It's not a big part of the game. It's just kind of like your passive buildings that you construct. You upgrade things in here with the resources that we get during gameplay, and that allows you to get all sorts of benefits. See, this gives you potions that refill your hit points. This also unlocks the swamp card. This gives the campfire more healing. These are just, these are to unlock, different... It's like experience points, basically. We can't build anything. We don't have any resources, so we just hit expedition. We have no options here but start. Later on, you get options for difficulty. There are different classes, etc. The loop always changes, of course. Essentially, each one is a new roguelike run. And there's nothing for us to do at this point except let our hero loop. Here we can adjust the speed of the loop. Later on, that can go even higher. And there's no reason not to equip those things, but... So these trigger each loop and spawn a chest. This reduces the maximum enemies spawning around it. This deletes a spot. This is just 5 HP for each adjacent mountain, so we just drop that out here. Yes, this gives quite a few resources for building around it. So we're just going to place it down here. Enemies may become ghosts on the tiles around this, which is interesting. You want them to become ghosts. Because it's more items that you can fight. So we'll set up that side of the loop as our combat area. Skeleton every... So you don't want to stack things at first, because you don't want to make very difficult combats. vampires are strong, but also give you good stuff. This might not be useful for us. We haven't been equipping our items. You can't sell items. You just, when your inventory is full, it just pushes off your oldest item, I believe. It's an interesting vampire graphic. This is an interesting mythos where vampires are apparently a positive force. Much better item. The pure damage is just a flat addition, so this does 10 to 14. Notice that when we walk through the meadow, we received a lumber, which is noted on our interface nowhere, but at the end it'll tally it up, and that's what we use to improve our village. When you fill this, you get a cool, like, bonus. This reduces, if you've made something too strong, you put a road lantern down to fix it. And this increases everyone's attack speed. So there are situations where this can be much better for you than the enemies, but we don't really have that situation now. When this fills up, we'll have to do something or else we'll waste. They just get deleted. So this has a 9% chance to counterattack and 0.6 regen per second, which is very nice. I'd rather have the guaranteed 3 damage reduction and the regeneration than the evasion. Armor is just always, almost always going to be better if it's a higher tier. Right-clicking allows you to lock an item if you don't want it to be deleted. I think we're okay with the one we have. Ooh. That's awesome. Vampirism 6%, damage to all. So harder monsters give you better quality stuff. Yeah, I'll take that. Orange, or this yellowish color, is better than blue. And then there's an orange color, this is even better. And there might be a 4th color. I don't quite remember. You build clusters of rock next to each other because they get more HP for every adjacent. That would probably make those combats a little strong, so we'll put it here. So now we just looped and we got our HP bonus and the monsters are stronger. That's a lot of pure damage and regen. We'll go ahead and just take it. So yeah, we have a lot more HP now. We've leveled up multiple times. This is more of the narrative about trying to rebuild the world that keeps destroying it, and only things that our hero remembers appear. Again, I just consider it fluff for the purposes of our playthrough. Yeah, we'll take that. So when you construct certain blocks of 9 tiles, you get bonuses. The empty treasury gives you a bunch of resources and also spawns a gargoyle somewhere on your map every 3 days that you can fight for more loot. The more mountains you have, the more goblins you'll spawn, these type of things. So you can optimize what happens in your world based on that. Same deal here, right? We'll just continue to build rocks around it. Now when you play a good loop, you can get literally everything around your map filled. Nothing interesting in our loot. We carry on. I'm still feeling like these enemies are playing quite nice with us. We don't really need to power anything up. Now these can be very dangerous, as I recall. Goblins are nasty. I think I would usually delete these. It's been a long time, so I'm going to delete the goblin. Lost many a run to the goblin camp. Road lanterns and beacons don't do us much good. Much better weapon. Less pure damage, but it gives us damage to all defense and evasion. I think we'll keep what we got. That's enough extra defense that we'll wear it. Notice our hero's about half life. That's solid. That means we're safely getting through the loop, but we're not fighting a bunch of trivial battles. So This will finish our vault and give us another gargoyle spawn. A bunch of resources. They go into our bag. They're displayed right here. This is quarter resources and full resources. This will show us, because you get fractions of each: wood, metal. That's really your goal, is to get as many resources as possible. It's a weird place for a road lantern, but we spawn 4 there and we don't want 4. I think with our meadows, we'll heal enough HP we can go for one more run. Because, like, we're at what? Yeah. I think we might want to play it safe, though. Delete that vampire mansion and put a lantern there instead, because we are losing a little more HP than I would like. You can see why goblins are dangerous. I think we might have done one loop too many. I don't think we can make it back alive on this. But it's a good example of how easy it is, even if you're experienced, to overdo. If you're not returning to your loop at near full health, you probably need to retreat. Because, yeah, we're in imminent danger. We're gonna die. You get to keep a very small percentage of your loot when you die. We did remove a couple spawns with that, but it's not enough to save us. We only get to keep 30%. This is just like your camp NPCs. And a little bit of background. We didn't have much in our village, so we probably should have assumed we had to retreat a little earlier. But overall, it's quite addicting to build your loops, challenge your hero, come back and construct. You will frequently... Oh, here's our statistics screen. get to keep track of everything you're doing. We do have enough for the kitchen. It does matter where you build things, but it's difficult to know how to build things early, and we're not going to agonize her. We'll just build the kitchen. And that gives us, instead of 20%, our main camp now heals 30%. And it unlocks a new card for us, the Blood Grove. We can upgrade the building if we want. We don't have the resources, obviously. You can also dismantle it, so later on you can move your buildings around. Now we get the non-tutorial start screen. Here's a summary of what chapter you're in and what strength you're at. The class we're in is the only one they're letting us use for the moment. The warrior is pretty standard. He scales up over the fight. He gets 4 equipment slots. And I don't know what this button is. This is our card selection. This is where you turn on and off things you do and don't like. Very cool, actually. I love this. See, we had all these beacons stacking up that we had no use for. We turned this off. It has to be between 7 and 12, so we could turn more off if we want, and that will increase the combination of what we do get. So each one's like our own little draft deck. It is very interesting the kind of combinations you can get by adding to different terrains, right? Like the Blood Grove can only be placed adjacent to other trees, and it attacks, like, you want to put big fights in front of it because it eats enemies at 15% health for you and helps you. So I like this tree. I like this unit. Road lanterns I don't often use, but we can keep because we're not going to be too filled up. We can go ahead and start with this. I'm going to turn the speed down just slightly on movement. I guess at first we don't need to do that, but later. Equipment makes a huge difference. You want to get it on as early as possible. Meadows just go in your least useful spot because they get no synergy from being combined. Meanwhile, mountains do, so build it in the best spot. I didn't really have to read the stats on that. Blue is going to be better than white almost always when we're talking level 1. So you can put these in undesirable spots because it will spawn on an adjacent tile. It doesn't matter if there's only one adjacent tile. Treasury will pop here and we'll start surrounding it. I think we'll use meadows. There's our first Blood Grove, but there's nowhere for us to play it yet. You know, we have no armor, so I'd rather have the defense. Now, this game is as hectic or as not hectic as you want it to be, because you can pause at any time, obviously. So there's the loop cycle and then the day cycle. When you hear the rooster, it means you hit a new day cycle. Some things spawn based on loops, some things spawn based on day. Sometimes you get lucky and get a tier 4 item when you're mostly getting tier 1s. And look how much better. This does 21 to 27 damage for us. And then what we're using is 4 to 6. So we're going to tear through this loop. We can afford tough combats. Now we have a grove finally. And we want the blood grove. So we want to build the blood grove to help us with the most combats. And basically in a square 3x3, it helps you in combat. So the best place we could build a grove would be like here, and then here, and then we just build big combat around here. And then yes, later you can speed things up much more if that is your desire. Chests give better loot than average. That's why we just got such good looking stuff. We just upgraded our whole kit. More spiders around the blood grove where we get helped. Now you might think it doesn't matter that much or whatever, but it's a battle of attrition, right? Because you're only healing at the start of your loop. So, okay, so you see that? That was the trees eating the units that we were knocking to 15% health. So instead of taking 2 hits to kill, it only took 1. It's a big difference. We want another grove so we can throw another... We'll put it there. None of that's going to be of any use to us, honestly. Now, excess items do get turned into fragments, I believe. Yeah, see, you see the bottom right item will disappear and go into our backpack. You can see now we're losing some hit points. We have to be careful about overbuilding. There's our other Blood Grove helper. Now it gets cool when you get some of the more advanced cards. Towns unlock quests. And quests offer, you know, a lot of different options. Now, of course, if you find building mountains tedious, you can turn them off. They're crucial to our strategy, so, you know, we're keeping them on. These are dangerous. We'll see how we're doing and decide whether or not to remove it when we get closer. Yeah, I already don't like what I see. Those took way too long to kill, so we're deleting that. This will help a lot. Sure. We're going to save these in case we have to fill out our treasury with mountains and then escape. I think we might have to escape this round. Trust me, you will be surprised how often you think, oh, I'm good, and then, nope. You weren't good, actually. A little too much there. Gonna throw him on. Vampire Mansion will get us... It'll do solid for us here. It won't overdo it, but it won't do nothing either. So this is, I mean, it looks like a harpy to me. Each time you encounter a new enemy from putting together a new part of the world, like a mountain peak, for example, allowed us to meet the goblins. You'll meet something new. Yeah. I do not like how this is going. I'm gonna just kill this, so we don't have a vampire in this fight. Yeah. There's no, like, difference in attack speed based on the type of weapon, so you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, we have the 4 we need to finish our terrain. I'm gonna turn our movement speed down so we can see where we're... Okay. Oh, this is good actually, because we can place our other treasury there. We just want to spawn 2 more terrain before we get back around to the start. That's overall, it's pretty reasonable proposition. Yeah, and because we got it in our first combat. We used the road lamp to make this combat a little weaker. Okay, we got a plan for this. We don't execute it quite yet. Oh, I think we're fine. Although the grove definitely helped. Okay, so now that we're right next to it, we can place a grove here and a blood grove here. It'll help us through on those few fights there. The rest of this doesn't matter because we're retreating. We're just not strong enough yet. We have to retreat. That's too bad. Yeah, so this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to pause it on the camp and then hit retreat, and we lose nothing because we didn't die. And there's more discussion about, oh, we remember you, old memories, why is the world changing, etc. You know, we can obviously read through this when you play if you're interested. It's not interesting enough to follow through in a let's play type of way either, because it's perfectly serviceable, but it's whatever. So this would give us a rogue new class. I think I like the rogue. It's better than the warrior. They're all good, honestly. This allows you to get traits for killing enemies. Essentially allows you to level up. This is like the whole leveling system during the loops, right? We've only seen like the most basic gameplay. We don't have enough to build this yet, but this is like top tier. You need it. you start picking game-changing perks every couple of levels or loops. I forget how it works, but it's works from like a rotating pool. You get to pick from a selection of several, I think, each time, and it's really awesome. This gives you the 3 potions. You get 2 refilled each time you hit camp, and the potion is like an emergency thing. When you hit 0, it will restore you to 4%, and that's significantly upgradable. And then this here gives you gear at the start of your run, basic gear, and also allows you to craft tools. And again, we don't have enough resources for any of this. So, you know what? If the spirit moves us, we might come back and continue this save file. And if you want us to do that, please leave us a like or a comment or a view or anything whatsoever would be awesome. And we can continue this save file a little more. I am knowledgeable about this game. It's been a while since I played, but I can take any hero infinite and clear the whole game 100%, no problem. So if you're confused, I can certainly answer your questions or educate you on it. But finding out how it works at first is part of the fun. Then you'll need to do a little research because some of the interactions are complex and you may not, realize how they work without looking them up. So, easy game to learn, hard game to master. Mark of an excellent and interesting game. So, Loop Hero, I think it's like $15 or something on the Epic Store. You can also get it on the Steam Store. Both great options. So check it out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.